I'm going to show you how to work with function machines. Now, a function machine is essentially an input, so a number we put into a function machine, then we apply a rule or some rules to that value, and then we get an output. And that's really what a function machine does. In the example here, n is used to describe the input. The rule is 3n plus 5, so we need to understand what this does, and then we can work out what the output should be. So if n is 2, 3n, this means 3 times the value of n. So this means 3 times 2 in the first example, plus 5. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 5 gives me an output of 11. If n was 9, well, 3 times 9 is 27, plus 5 gives me 32. And if n is negative 3, that would be 3 times negative 3. Now, if we're multiplying with negatives, if one of the numbers is a negative and the other one is a positive, that gives us a negative answer. So 3 times negative 3 gives me negative 9. And negative 9 plus 5, if you're not too sure about this, you can draw yourself out a number line. If I was at negative 9, adding 5 means I'm going to get 5 jumps bigger. So negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. So the answer, if n was negative 3, then the output would be negative 4. So all well and good if we're told what the input is, but what if we're told what the output is? We need to work backwards. So let's just pop a few examples down. Let's say if this was 20, what would n be? If the output was 38, what would n be? And if the output was negative 16, what would n be? Now, if you want to have a little go at these, pause the video and then I'll go through the answers. Okay, to go through these answers, what we're going to do, we're taking the output and then we're going to reverse this process. So we've got to undo all these rules, and we undo them by using the inverse operation. So we do the opposite. In this case, I know whatever n is, when I do 3 times n, then add 5, I know the output is going to be 20. So I've got to work backwards. Let's put that in there. So if I have 20, the first thing I'm going to do is not to add 5, I'm going to take 5 away. And 20 take away 5, I know, is 15. Now this was 3 times n, so I'm just going to say that is being multiplied by 3. n is being multiplied by 3, then adding 5. Now I'm going to the opposite of multiplying by 3, which is 2, divide by 3, and 15 divided by 3 gives me an n value of 5. So when n is 5, 3n plus 5 is 20, and you can always double check this. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 5 gives me 20. Let's have a look at the next one. When we want to know what n is, again, I'm going to multiply n by 3, then I'm going to add 5, and I know the output is 38. So I'm going to reverse this. Instead of adding 5, I shall take 5 away from 38, which gives me 33. And then instead of multiplying by 3, I'm going to divide by 3. So 33 divided by 3 is 11. So n is 11, then 3n is 33 plus 5 is 38. Now the last one is a negative, but let's just work it through the same process. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to multiply whatever the value of n is by 3, and then I'm going to add 5. And out will pop negative 16. So we just need to be careful working with negative numbers. So if I'm starting at negative 16, I'm going to do the opposite of adding 5 to that. So I'm going to take 5 away. So I'm going to get 5 smaller than negative 16. So if I was at negative 16, I'm going to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So negative 16, negative 17, negative 18, negative 19, negative 20, negative 21. So that will get me to negative 21. So I need to know what negative 21, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying, which is to divide by 3. What is negative 21 dividing by 3? Now, just as we saw that when we multiply a negative and a positive together, we get a negative answer. If we are dividing and one of the numbers is negative, again, that gives us a negative answer. So I know my answer is going to be negative, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. So the answer here, if I put negative 7 into this function, 3 times negative 7 is 21. And 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. From plus 5, getting 5 bigger than negative 21 does get me to negative 16.